Gareth knows, I've been after a 1989 era Batman figure for my bat shelf for some time. I actually almost accidentally picked up a ToyBiz Batmobile from the 89 film with Keaton way back when, but I didn't get a figure with that. And I have not seen one in the flesh since ever, basically, because I've never been able to pick one up. So I've got examples from other eras, which are on the shelf, but not from this era. So, eventually, of course, I went to eBay, because for whatever reason, they just weren't turning up in the shops. I don't know whether it was because people were buying them up because of the Batman Flash film, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, now, what you see here in the blue plastic bags was Plan B. Plan A was getting hold of an 89 ToyBiz Batman that wasn't hilariously expensive. So that ended up being a two-part plan, as it turned out, because I got this rather nice example here. And he was nice because A, you can actually see his bat symbol on his chest very clearly, whereas a lot of the other ones I saw were faded. And B, he actually has his bat belt rope. Now, this is a bizarre gimmick because it does indeed have a rope attached to his belt like this, and it flings back like that. But quite why, I've no idea, because that's never how his bat rope ever works in the comics, or, well, basically ever. He's got a little bit of articulation. Not a huge amount. It's weird because at first I was convinced that he had an elbow joint, but they've just made it look as if he has an elbow joint. It's kind of a weird thing. So all he actually has is his shoulders, and they don't really come out. They just swing round. Head, yes. Apparently there are two face sculpts. There's a sort of a rounded face and a straight face. I'm assuming this is kind of rounded. And he's also got legs. I quite like the armour on the legs, on the shins there. I think that's a nice piece of detail. And he does have bendable legs there. So, yeah, do like him, and he's got the right look to him. But of course, he doesn't have a cape. Now, I did the smart thing, I thought, and I got a cape separately, which has arrived like that, because the one I nearly pulled the trigger on had a cape that had a smooth bottom, but then when I looked at other comparators, I realised it was supposed to have a jagged bottom rather than a smooth bottom. So I veered away from those and got these two separately, but I also had my eye on these. And I haven't actually opened these yet, as you might be able to tell, because they're still in plastic bags. But this was more than I needed. But I thought, okay, it's more than I need, but it means that I definitely get a Batman that's definitely got a cape attached to it, in case there was some sort of neck element that I wasn't aware of that I was going to be missing in getting just a cape. So let's have a look and see if I can actually claim to have a complete Batman. And now it appears that I can. So here we have this cape with the appropriate spiky bits down the bottom. And we have, I've got a nice bat symbol on his chest there. I think, now this will be interesting because this is the one with the cape. This is the one without the cape. Are they the same face? I'm not sure that they are. I think those are different heads. So what do you think? Let's have a view from the chat. What do we think? Is this one a rounded face, one that's a straight face? They do look different, don't they? And I'm assuming the body sculpts are identical, but the armour's there. Armour's there on that one. So yeah, I mean, I think apart from possibly the face being slightly different, the more I look at it, the more I am convinced. I think even the colour's slightly different. Isn't that interesting? So just from getting two examples, I've got the different face sculpts. Okay. Now he's got I think there's a little rope that's going across his neck there to hold the cape in place, and it's that I don't know whether or not that's there on the one that I've got in the bag. So I'll have to look into that. But I'm hoping that my work as a thing, but I could see why it would come off in 2 seconds flat. But it's not an unreasonable sort of look, and that's kind of, you can see the texture there of the cape. It's quite thin, but at least he's got a cape. So might well use him as my display one on my bat shelf. So what you might ask is in the other 2 bags. Well, let's have a look. Now, this puzzles me slightly because I'm assuming that now, actually no, I tell a lie, it doesn't puzzle me because I remember I've seen this in pictures of the Batmobile, in the sense that, lo and behold, it's Robin the Boy Wonder with a very, very similar cape, although his doesn't get the bat pointy bits at the bottom. But I thought getting one with the cape was probably relatively unusual. Now, he doesn't appear to have any gadgets, but you can see he's got the same knee joint as Batman there. And this is quite an old school style of Robin, this. But of course, Robin didn't turn up in the 89 film. So why they did a Robin alongside the 89 Batman, but then I'm saying that, then again, I don't think they actually did. I say that because I did glance at a page which was claiming to be a definitive list of the ToyBiz 89 line, and it didn't include a Robin. So I assume that this came later. Now I think he's got some sort of, yeah, he's got an action trigger thing at the back. I don't think it's working, but if you can see there, his arm is wanting to flick back, and there is a trigger underneath his cape there. But I don't think that is linked up, so it's not, that bit of him isn't working. But for display purposes, again, he'd be absolutely fine. The only problem is there are no Robins on my bat shelf. So I'm afraid, Robin, you might have to sit somewhere else. Sorry, mate. Right. So, in the final bag, rounding things off, again, is another one that I can and I can't put on the shelf because he's the Joker. And apparently the Joker had 2 different haircuts. And this, I don't know, is this a haircut Joker or not? I'm not quite sure. But it's quite a nice likeness, and he's got the orchid, which was in the 89 film. So I believe this guy is from the 89 film line of characters, whereas the Robin wasn't. But he's quite a cool Joker, and I think I've also got his accessory still in the bag, Russell, which is of course his rather fetching hat. You're a dance with the devil by the pale moonlight, said the worst impressionist ever. But yeah, there you go. So he's got his hat. It might be backwards, I'm not sure. But anyway, so yeah, it was one of those ones where I covered my bases because one was a buy it now, the other one was an auction. So I couldn't be convinced that I was going to get the auction one necessarily, as is often the way. But as a result, I do have, if not the Bat family, then at least 2 of the Bat family and their arch nemesis in an old school 89 styling. So I'm quite happy with that as a result. And if I can make up the other 89 Batman, then I think I'll be quite happy with that as a job lot. I knew he wasn't going to do that. I'm assuming his belt works as well. Let me just check. Yep. So you see a lot of them on eBay do not have the belt. It's funny because there's another belt painted on underneath the belt with the rope. But you just have to watch out. So if you want the bat rope, you're going to have to make sure that they have the bat rope advertised with them, because otherwise you could miss out on that little detail. I think he does come with other accessories when he's in the packet. But of course, the on the card ones are that much more expensive, and I was only have to lose for display purposes, as ever. I'll say as ever. Sometimes I like to get the card for certain ones, but for these purposes, this will do me just fine. And I finally have an 89 Batman, sized in a fashion that will allow him to sit on the same Dettol shelf as everyone else. So that's done me quite nicely to fill out my bat shelf. Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of other 89 movie related ones to do, actually, or at least one more. And for that, I will be returning to the wonderful world of Ertl. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Do like and subscribe as ever. Cheers for now.